What's up everyone, it's Trainer Dell, and in this video I have for you my Krekno Mob Boss EDH deck profile. It's part of my budget, like tribal series of decks that I've been trying to build, and finally glad that they're all kind of sort of finished. It's always fun to upgrade them as I go along, but I don't put anything more than about $30 out of pocket when I build them. Sometimes I'll go to like, maybe an extra couple dollars here or there. But usually, for the most case and purposes, I try to keep it under originally 25 because that was TCG player. Now they're like 35 for their direct shipping. So I'll try to keep it under that, and then probably get some other cards for other decks with the other like 10 or whatever dollars that I have left over. But yeah, I don't really like to go over $30 when it comes to building an EDH deck because you can have fun, have flavor and function and all that stuff on a budget. So definitely, this is the part one of my little series of the 4 decks I have. But yeah, Krekno Mob Boss right here. Legendary Goblin Warrior, tap, create an X 1/1 red goblin creature token where X is the number of goblins you control. So this deck just wants to swarm a bunch of goblins. And I sometimes thought about like building it around something else because I didn't have Krekno, but it got reprinted. Mystery Boosters was a little easier to get. So definitely was like, you know what? It's the time. I had a bunch of goblin creatures when I was playing Standard. Just kept picking them up, especially after watching Goblin Slayer and just liking that anime. I was going to put a Diamond Knight in this deck and just, say he's Goblin Slayer. But yeah, I just kept it with Krekno and a bunch of goblins. Got Skirk Prospector, or Skirk as we call him. Sacrifices a goblin, add 1's red mana. Just really good utility. Goblin does a lot of stuff and can go infinite sometimes with Krekno. Goblin Arsonist, when it dies, pings something. Goblin Fireslinger just pings with the tap ability. Torch Courier, this one, 10 Street Dodger, and Fanatical Firebrand all have haste, so they can get in there for 1, but they have little effects. So this one, you can sacrifice it to give something else haste. You can make sure that this doesn't get blocked except by anything with Defender, or except by creatures with Defender. And you can just sacrifice this, tap it, and it deals 1 damage. It just does another ping ability. Goblin Sledder. You can sacrifice the goblin and target creature gets +1/+1. So sometimes we have a bunch of goblins on board. You can just swing it. If there's no blocks, just sack them all. Goblin Instigator and War Marshal basically just create you another goblin token. This one has Echo, so if you don't pay the cost, it gets sacrificed, but that's fine because whenever it enters or dies, you put a 1/1 goblin creature token. So, just get some stuff out. Pile Driver has protection from blue, and whenever it attacks, it gets +2/+0 for each other attacking goblin, so it can get pretty big as well. Locksmith, he's just like his art of just like punching through that door. Just whenever it attacks, creatures with Defender can't block, so you can get through wall decks. Creator Maker, he's cool. Just 1, pay 1, sacrifice him, and you can either deal 2 damage to a target creature or destroy a target colorless non-land permanent. So basically like artifacts, but sometimes like Ugin. Wily Goblin, 2 red, and when it enters, you create an artifact token. It's pretty cool. War Driver has Battle Cry, so whenever it attacks, all the other attacking creatures get +1/+0. Ember Hauler, it's an alright card. Something that you can drop if you have to, but when I build these budget decks, I like to start off with stuff I have and then just get things to, round off the deck and little by little build them up. But 1 sacrifice that deals 2 damage to any target. So it's like a shock. Clamor Shaman just has Riot, but whenever it attacks, target creature an opponent controls can't block. So pretty cool. You can make it a 2/2 or just have 1/1 with haste. Legion War Boss, Army in a can right here, just really cool. Has Mentor, which is fine. You can pump up some of your smaller tokens. And at the beginning of the combat, you create a 1/1 red goblin creature token, and it gains haste and has to attack that turn. But if it stays on the field, you can just it doesn't have to attack anymore. Goblin Matron just searches goblins. So usually Skirk I go for. Chieftain, he's cool. Haste, and he's a kind of a lord, gives other goblin creatures +1/+1 and haste. War Chief, goblin spells cost 1 less to cast, and all the goblins get haste. Chain Whirler, He whirls that chain. First strike, and when it enters the battlefield, it deals 1 damage to each opponent and creature and planeswalker they control. So cool little good card. And if other people are playing any tokens that are really low, it can wipe them all out. We got Ringleader here. Thanks to my friend Anthony for giving me this card. But it has haste. But also, when it enters the battlefield, you reveal the top 4 cards of your library. Put all Goblin cards revealed this way to your hand and the rest in the bottom. So kind of a Goblin just advantage card. Beetleback Chief. It enters. You get 2 more like Goblin tokens. Trash Master right here. Other Goblins get +1/+1, so he's a Lord, and you can sacrifice a Goblin to destroy target artifact. Siege King Commander just gives you 3, and you can play 1 in the red, sacrifice it, and deal 2 damage to any target. Torbrand, just really good. I mean, he could even be like the commander sometimes, but basically all your red sources would deal 2 extra damage. Fire Diamond, pretty cool. Prismatic Lens. Chandra's Regulator to help, discarding mountains or red cards if you just want to draw. You can also add Soul Ring in here. Obviously, Soul Ring would be awesome to get Krekno out a turn earlier. Mind Stone. Mage Right Stone. So Mage Right Stone and Jandor Saddlebags and Puppet String are all here this is to untap Krekno, and they all do that. So just to untap it usually. Hammer of Perforos to give all my creatures haste. Hazard's Monument to have red creature spells cost 1 less. And also, whenever I cast a creature spell, which a lot of them are goblins, you can discard a card and draw a card. Heraldic Banner, basically just choose red. You get to add red mana, but also all your goblins get that +1/+0. Icon of Ancestry, another card to help with basically any tribe. But yeah, creatures you control get +1/+1. 3 and tap it to look at the top 3 cards and get any creature of that chosen type. Strider Harness to try to give Krekno haste. I have so many of these because I have a lot of Rivals and Ixalan stuff. But basically, change this for like Swiftfoot Boots or Lightning Greaves. Sword of Parents, just pretty cool because if you equip it to Krekno, you can use 3 mana to untap it. And when you have Skirk Prospector and, a little more than like 3 or 4 goblins, you can kind of go infinite. Keep creating tokens and use Goblin. Skirk Prospector to sacrifice the goblins. You just need to sacrifice 3, then tap Krekno again, make more, and you just need 3, and then you'll hopefully be making more than 3. Hedron Archive. Goblin Warstrike. Goblin, it deals damage equal to the number of goblins you control to a player, and you can make a lot. Faithless Looting, just draw cards by force, destroy X target artifacts. Obviously, also try to get Vandal Blast if you want. Krekno's Command. I had the non-mystery booster, but I kind of wanted I wanted them to be together, so I got a mystery booster one. Dragon Fodder, just these create the goblin tokens, just 2 of them. Tormenting Voice, also to draw. Cathartic Reunion, also to draw. And these are because of the Commander's Quarters. I never even thought about this before, but just a budget way to, one, you can use this to take your opponent's creatures, but another thing is you can use it to basically, target your Krekno. You take control of it, you already have control, but it basically untaps it. You untap the creature, untap. So if you don't want to, you don't have to. You can take your opponent's creature and use it for whatever you want to do. But it's cool to know that we can get multiple Krekno activations in a turn. So that's definitely thanks to Commander's Quarters that I added those cards in. Whirling Opera is just another card to create goblin tokens. This one brings in 3. This one brings 2, but it has Storm. So if you cast something else, especially like low-powered goblins, like the 1/1s, then you can, create more. Goblin War Party. You choose one or you entwine it to do both. The haste one, it's okay. The end of turn, but mostly I think the create 3 goblin tokens is probably the best mode. But if you have the mana, go for both. Brightstone Ritual, especially if you have this, you can add 1 for each goblin in play. Battle Hymn, add red to your mana pool for each creature you control. Still a possibility, another draw card. Barrage of Expendables, you can definitely change this to Goblin Bombardment. I don't know do I run it? I think I do. Oh no, I don't. So you can change this for Goblin Bombardment, but this is like the budget version where you pay a red, sacrifice a creature, and it deals the damage. So those cards to like take control, like these ones, you can also sacrifice them. Escape Velocity, just to give a creature haste, 1 red mana. Impact Tremors, which is probably the MVP of this deck, as everyone knows that if you're running Krekno, it's just the greatest partner card with it. Because whenever you have creatures enter the battlefield under your control, it deals a damage to each opponent. So you can just make a lot of Goblin tokens, and if this is on the field, you do a lot of damage. And then Tectonic Reformation, just a really cool enchantment. I think just mono red deserves like this kind of card draw, where for 1 red, you can cycle any land in your hand, so you can discard it and then draw a card. But also, if you don't need this, you can just cycle it away for 2. The professor has a cool video on what lands you should put in when you're doing mono colored, but this is, like I said, very budget and stuff that I just had lying around. So my Castle Embereth, Forgotten Cave, Smoldering Crater, Desert of Fervent, for this to pump up creatures, these to like cycle if you don't need them, and a bunch of basic mountains. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 31, 32. I believe there's 16 of this art and then like 16 of this art. I just thought that art was cool because it had like, scary mountainous area. And then I believe Krenko's in Ravnica. So it was Ravnica. So yeah, that's the Krenko deck profile that I have, very budget. If I could upgrade it, that's what I'd say. I'd get like the other Goblin Sacrifice card, the enchantment. I believe Goblin Bombardment. Is it? Which one's this one? Barrage of Snows, yeah. So I would definitely want to get that. Probably, I would like to get a Sol Ring for each and every one of my decks. But, it's fine. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace.